Yeah, good morning, everyone. So, welcome back to one more lecture on thermal engineering 2. Okay. So, I think last class what we discussed is all the basics about what and all we are going to learn in thermal engineering 2 subject. And I have actually dealt what is known as a steam power plant. And I have explained about in a schematic or a block diagram how the steam power plant looks like. And similarly, we have seen something like a steam and the properties of steam. Right. So today's class, what we will concentrate is I'll be going through how to see the steam tables and what are the different properties I have to see as part of the steam tables. Because already you know that as part of a thermodynamics, you already know about the steam tables. Already you know about the steam tables, but still, uh, as part of your thermal engineering 2 subject, we'll see how we can refer because a lot of things, problems for your basic steam cycle, steam nozzles, steam turbines, steam condensers, all these particular chapters, you need to refer your steam tables. Okay, right. And I'll tell you how to refer a Mollier chart, which is enthalpy entropy chart is called as Mollier chart. That also we'll be discussing. So in place of instead of steam tables, I can go for Mollier chart also. So if you have a steam tables with you, the last page or the last thing is you'll have the Mollier chart, which is folded and kept in the book. It's a big chart of A2 size or maybe a A3 size. Okay, like that it will be given in your steam tables book, right? Okay, now I think this is exactly where I stopped last class. So what you have seen the previous steam power plant as is a block diagram or a schematic of various components. Now this particular slide gives you, yeah, let me just, yes. Now this slide gives you the exactly how your power plant looks like, how a power plant looks like. I think if you go towards Chennai, near Ennur, you have a thermal power plant. Okay, and you can see these type of structures. So where I'm showing some highlighting here. So you can see some smoke like thing coming here. Some four parts here. Those are nothing but your here maybe a two maybe a chimneys and two maybe a what you call as a cooling towers. Okay, so we'll just see what is the different parts. Already I have explained in the schematic. Now this is the exact diagram. Okay, now to start with, one is nothing but your uh, coal storage. You can see here the coal is being stored. Then that coal is being taken from this particular what is called storage unit by means of a conveyor belts, to the boiler room, So the second is coal conveyor. The third one is called as your uh, workshop. Okay, maybe whatever require for coal storage, etc., will be there. And what you see here, the yeah, it just comes here, it goes here, right? And you have here, yes, this is the particular thing here, which is nothing but your boiler house. Which is nothing but your boiler house. You see the six part here, that is nothing but your boiler. So once the coal is fed into the boiler, that boiler, the water is available. That coal, when it gives heat energy, that converts the water into steam. Okay, water in steam. And you can see here the thing here, what is called as seven. The seven, what you are showing is a flue gas path. Seven is the flue gas path. Okay, now you just see here what is happening. Now here it's there nine part. Nine is your steam turbine. Yeah, so this is a boiler. Then after that it goes to the turbine, and you see this is the turbine house. Here is the part 9. What is given is your turbine. Okay, then it is connected to the generators. So 10 is your generators. So there are two generators, you can see here. there are generators, what I'm showing. Then in turn, that is connected to the electrical grid. So this is a last one, 11 are the transformer, and this is the grid. This is 11 and 14 are electrical energy. So mechanical to electrical energy and boiler, turbine. Okay. Now after that, you have 13. I think the first two, as I said, these are nothing but your cooling towers. Now cooling towers, I said it may be a natural or maybe artificial. This is similar like a this is a cooling towers where you'll be taking water, and that water will be sent to the condenser, where the condenser, yeah, part 12 is your condenser. I think this is the condenser here. This is the condenser, right? So what will happen? You will be taking the water from the cooling tower, and that is go to the condenser. And here what happens? After going to a turbine, the left out steam goes to the condenser. Then condenser, it will be converting into hot water by giving the heat to the cool water from the cooling tower. Okay, like that the circuit actually flows. Okay, so if you have some doubt here, I'll just go back again to the schematic one. Now you can see here the same thing I have shown as a schematic. Yeah, the same what I am discussing here. So boiler, turbine, condenser, feed pump, and obviously generator. So all these things are kept exactly as a unit there, and obviously the thing what I've shown here is your cooling tower. See, cooling tower is one which supplies cool water to the condenser to condense the steam or left out steam from the turbine before going to the pump, or finally it's to the boiler. Okay, so this I explained in clearly how it works. Okay, now please remember, for all our problems based upon the vapor cycle or steam power cycle, I need four components. One is boiler, turbine, yes, then you have condenser, and finally feed pump. Sir, why you are considering the only four components here means, so I must need for a thermodynamic cycle, I must need where is heat in, heat out, and work in, work out. Heat in, heat out, and work in, work out, work out. So where you are giving heat input, in case of boiler, I am supplying heat. Where you are losing heat, you are losing heat in the condenser. So Q in here, Q out here. Then what is work input? You are giving some work to handle the feed water to pump back to the boiler. So this is the pump work for a feed pump. It is work input. And what is work output? That's nothing but what I am getting from the turbine. So work in, work out, heat in and heat out. That completes your thermodynamic cycle. So any cycle will be a closed cycle which have this process, that is heat in, heat out, and work in, work out. Okay. So this what happens. So remember, so component on four devices. There's a boiler, turbine, condenser, and feed pump. Okay. So that's about your steam power plant. Next, what I'll just go for one more thing. Yeah. Just let me just take. Now, just see here. Okay. Now, can you able to see this is basically a steam table structure. So this is basically a steam table structure. Okay. So any steam tables if you have, okay, let me just take some annotation here. Yeah. Now you can see here, for any steam tables, what you are going to refer, you have all these properties, all these properties. I hope maybe internal energy won't be there in your steam tables, but anyhow, these are the properties of your steam. Now see, there are saturated steam tables based on pressure, and there are saturation steam tables based on temperature. So what is the basic difference is, you can see here the first column, you can see here the first column here is the pressure in bar. That's a 1 bar. So temperature is in degrees centigrade. And the next third column has two sections. One is called as saturation liquid volume, VF, which indicates volume of liquid. And you have one more thing, that is saturated vapor. So volume of vapor. And forget about this internal energy because we are not going to use the internal energy anyway. Now the next one you can see here, this is enthalpy. So enthalpy, what is enthalpy? I think you have studied already in thermodynamics. So enthalpy is nothing but the heat supplied at constant pressure. Heat supplied at constant pressure is called as enthalpy. Yes or no? Right. So this is the enthalpy. Obviously, it's denoted by small h. Small h. So you have three parts here. When you go for enthalpy, first column, second column, third column. The first column is saturated liquid. That is enthalpy of the steam or hot water. That is whenever it is F indicates liquid and G indicates when it becomes like a vapor or steam. So you have saturated liquid. So enthalpy of liquid and enthalpy of vapor. So to convert that liquid into vapor, I must supply some heat at constant pressure, which is called as latent heat. Already I explained about latent heat. Yes or no? Because once I heat the water up to 100, after 100, I have to heat it by supplying it to constant temperature and pressure so that it increases, changes its phase from liquid to vapor. So this is called as HFG. So between HF and HG, you have HFG, where HFG is called as the latent heat or heat supplied or latent heat of vaporization. Latent heat of vaporization. That means to convert into vapor, I must supply this much amount of heat when it is like a water. That is called as HF. Okay. And final column gives you in the steam tables entropy. Entropy, that is nothing but your Q by T, heat transfer divided by temperature. So that's a kilojoules per kg Kelvin. Kilojoules per kg is for enthalpy. Now, obviously for entropy also you have three columns. When it is like a liquid, S is entropy, SF. Then evaporate, here it's a enthalpy of vaporization, or you see here latent heat. No, similarly this is called as entropy of vaporization, that is SFG. Okay, so if you have enthalpy, you also have entropy. And finally the last column gives you SG, that is entropy of steam or vapor. Steam or vapor. Saturated. Saturated means at constant pressure temperature. For a water, what is the saturation temperature? You can see here it's around 100 degrees centigrade. And what is the pressure? At 1 bar. So water, when the pressure on the water is 1 bar and it's 100 degrees centigrade, temperature is 100 degrees centigrade. If we go on supplying heat, then obviously you will see all these changes. Okay. Now, if you take enthalpy, when it is at 1 bar and 100 degrees centigrade, the temperature, the heat content is 417 kilojoules per kg. Now you have to supply this much amount of heat or latent heat, that is 2258, 2258, then only it will convert into vapor. You see this in enthalpy, this 2258 you just add to 417, it's nothing but this value 2675, 2675. I hope you understood. Similarly here also 6.05 plus 1.3, it's nothing but 7.3. So this combination is the last line. Okay, so this is how our properties will be available. Right, now you just see here one more thing I show you. Now see a simple example here. Yeah, this is actually the temperature entropy diagram, and we'll discuss in detail afterwards. You see here, this is basically the line what I'm showing here. This is the sensible heat line. This is latent heat, this amount. Then this is superheat. So our properties of steam tables are saturated are this particular line. So if you just take this for a water, this is 100 degrees centigrade. And this amount what you are seeing here, that is called as liquid vapor or FG. So that amount is around 2252 what you have to supply for the yes water. Okay. Now let me just take one more thing so to make you clear about the steam tables. Now you just see here what is I'm showing for you. Yes. So this is how it looks like. Yes. Now you just see pressure temperatures. As in the saturation pressure table, no? This is the saturation temperature table. So this is how your steam tables looks like. Suppose if I ask at 100 degrees Celsius or what are the temperature, no? If 100 degrees available, I'll show you. Or I have assumed that 20 degrees or 50 degrees, that 30 degrees, I want to find out the properties. So at 30 degrees, you have pressure of water, I mean pressure of the water, so because all the things are water only. So when 30 degrees is the temperature, the pressure on the water is 0.04 bar. When it is 100, it will be 1 bar. Okay. Now at that case, you see here the first column, will gives you VF, that is nothing but specific volume of water. That is at 30 degrees centigrade, 30 degrees centigrade, okay, it will occupy, if it's like a liquid, only 0.001004. Okay, that is a very low volume because it's a liquid. And the same thing at 30 degrees centigrade, Vg indicates it's a vapor or steam. See, because vapor or steam occupies more volume. So at 30 degrees centigrade, okay, so the vapor that occupies a volume of 32.9 meter cube per kg. Okay, understood now? Right? So these are the volumes. Then what is the thing? Don't worry about the thing here. That is enthalpy and entropy. So the other column here, you see the last one, 30 degrees is a, maybe a internal energy. Now here you see the last one. You have 30 degrees centigrade. 125.7 is the HF, and HFG is 2430.7. And this is 125.7 is whenever the temperature of water is 30 degrees centigrade, the enthalpy available is 125.7. If I subject it to 2430.7, if I add it, that amount of heat if I give at constant pressure, then what happens? Automatically it will convert to vapor, which is having the heat content or amount of heat as 2556. Okay, so this how you can read your steam tables. Hope you understood how you can read the steam tables, right? Now what I'll do now, just I'll take one more presentation here from here, because all the things are no, this is what already discussed. Yes. Now these are the different properties. What I mean, HF, enthalpy of water. Okay. So this is MCPW delta T. Okay. So we'll clearly discuss when we take up the problem. Now this is the enthalpy of wet steam. So I'll come to this afterwards when we start doing the problem. So this is nothing but suppose if you take here previous slides, I'll just show you. Now you see this diagram here. I hope you are able to see the diagram. Yes. Now This diagram gives you temperature versus entropy. Okay. Now what happens? You see this line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is called as a pressure line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is called as a pressure line. Okay. So if I assume that the water is at 100 degrees centigrade 1 bar, and this is the amount of latent heat or Fg, HFG I have to give to convert it to 5 Hg. It has to be Hg. Okay. Now this amount of heat I have to add so that it converts from water at 4 point to vapor at 5 point. Okay. This is how you observe the amount of this is sensible heat. So 3 to 4 is called as sensible heat. 4 to 5 is called as latent heat, Fg, and 5 to 6 is superheat. So I not discussed it again about the superheat now. Will be only up to saturation. Saturation is this particular 5 point. Okay. Now you see this some curve like this shape of curve. Now what happens? This left side of this particular line is called as liquid line. That's why you see here L. L indicates this entire region here on the left hand side is nothing but liquid, and entire thing on the right hand side is nothing but vapor. And what about in between? It is liquid plus vapor, liquid plus vapor, and P equal to constant means pressure equal to constant. That's why you have a little latent heat supply. Okay. So latent heat is the heat supplied at constant pressure. Okay. Able to understand? Yes. Okay. This is about the thing, PS diagram. PS diagram. Okay. Now what happens? If I want to take the properties from the stream tables, I can take 4 easily, 5 easily, because they are at the saturation points. That is, here 4 if I want to make, it becomes HF4 because enthalpy of liquid at 4, it's purely liquid, I can take HF. And 5 is purely vapor, so I can take H5, which is nothing but Hg. Hg. Okay, understood here? Now in between I want, yeah, then I have to add HFG to get the Hg this point. But what happens in between here? Whenever if I consider the steam in this particular portion here, it's not purely water, it's not purely steam, it's a mixture of liquid plus vapor. It's a mixture of liquid plus vapor. So 4 is purely liquid here, and 5 is purely vapor, after that superheated vapor. But what is in between here? It is both liquid plus vapor. I can find out from the steam tables HF4 here, Hg at 5. But what about any point in between here? Because I don't know how much is the liquid, how much is the vapor amount, so that I can calculate the enthalpy. Okay. So this 4 to 5 amount I know HFG, but in between, assume that in between I am asking somewhere here. Okay. Somewhere here if I am asking. So I can't able to find out because I must know how much is the fraction of liquid available at that point, how much is the fraction of vapor available at that point. So then only I can find out the enthalpy, and this is liquid if I say, this is vapor, superheated vapor. This region inside that curve is called as liquid region, liquid region, liquid region. Okay, able to understand now? So the same thing what I explained here. Okay, now we go for, yeah, one. Now just see here. Yeah, enthalpy water I can determine from the steam. Now you see here HFG, that also I can get from the steam tables. Okay. Now, as I said, in between if I want, that is wet steam, wet steam. What is wet steam? It is the steam at in between liquid and vapor region inside the curve, inside the bell curve, you have this region. So in that case, I can determine that enthalpy by this formula like this. Okay, you see here, H, what is the enthalpy of wet steam? That is enthalpy of water plus X into HFG. So where I can get HFG? So I can get HFG from the steam tables, that's the latent heat. HF I can get from the steam tables again, that is a water. Okay, and only thing unknown here is X, where X is called as dryness fraction. What is that? Dryness fraction. That is, this particular X indicates how much is the water, how much is the vapor. That fraction will be there. Assume that if it X equal to 0.9, okay, then that 0.9 will be kept here. Then I know HF, I know 0.9, I know HFG from steam tables. I can straight away find out what is known as the enthalpy of wet steam. Okay, so whenever it's a wet steam only, this thing I have to see. So just see in this thing what I mentioned. If X equal to 1, what will happen? It's nothing but H equal to Hg, because HF plus HFG, X equal to 1. So HF is liquid plus latent heat. Both joined together, I'll get at vapor line what is saturation enthalpy, that is a Hg. So whenever X equal to 1, it is a dry condition. Okay, X is less than 1, it is wet. Okay, so this is how I can find out the enthalpy of wet steam, right? Now this is what I am pointing out. X, it is the ratio of mass of dry steam actually present to the mass of wet steam. That is, in a portion of the steam, how much is the dry steam, how much is the water particles. That will be denoted by X. Most of the times that will be given as a in the problem itself. That is, what is the percentage. Suppose if I given some percentage, then obviously that steam is wet steam. So mass of steam by total mass, that is a water plus steam. So in a total mixture, how much is the steam mixture? Then gives you remaining is the what is the dryness fraction of the sample. So this is very important. Okay. So this I have to keep into mind whenever I am dealing with the properties of wet steam. Wet steam, right? So the superheated steam and all, I'll discuss it afterwards. Okay. Now this is yeah, volume and all, you don't have to worry. And only thing is, whenever if it's a water Vf, I can find out. Whenever it's a steam or vapor, Vg I can find out. But in between, if it's a wet steam, then definitely I have to go for this relation. Suppose volume of wet steam, if I asked, X has to be given in the problem. I know what is Vg from the steam table. I know what is Vf from the steam tables. So obviously, if I keep these values from the steam tables, X is given. I can find out the volume of wet steam. Similarly, entropy of wet steam, we have a relation. So like this, so entire relations I'll take just mostly I'll prepare for you, and I'll be sending you as a PDF for your reference. Okay, so that's how the different properties of steam can be read. Okay, so it's very easy. You can find out for liquid as well as what you called as dry line or liquid line. Wet steam you have to calculate, as well as for superheated steam you have to calculate it separately. So calculate it separately. Okay, so this is the thing about the properties of your steam, how you can take from the steam tables. Okay, so maybe another 10 minutes, just will join again, and I'll be taking you straight away to the Rankine cycle or the vapor cycle. Then we'll discuss some problems, and while seeing the problems straight away, I'll tell you how to see the values from the steam tables and how I can calculate the values to find out the efficiency, etc. All those parameters. Okay, right? So I'll just stop with this, and we'll be meeting maybe another 10 minutes. Okay, thank you.